right, it is 7 o'clock, so we are going to get started. We have just one case this evening. So I'm calling to order the Tuesday, February 18th, 2025 meeting of the Zoning Board of Adjustment. If everyone would please rise, remove your hats, and face the flag at the back for the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you, everyone. All right, the one and only case we have tonight is case 25-001 VA Edwards, 52 Highland Avenue. The application is from B. David and Colleen Edwards, requesting variances from Article 2, Section C.7.B.5, Article 2, Section C.7B.7, Article 2, Section C.7B.10, and Article 2, Section C.7C of the Nottingham zoning ordinance to permit the building of a detached ADU above a planned three-car garage. The applicant's property is located at 52 Highland Avenue in Nottingham and is identified as tax map number 67, lot 24. This is the initial public hearing. The applicants come forward, please. Please state your name, address, and then review your case with us.
Okay. My name is Colleen Edwards. My address is 52 Highland Ave in Nottingham. And my husband and I would like to request a variance to build a 28 by 48 three-car garage with an ADU above. We would.
Pull the microphone
Oh, okay.
right in front of you, yeah.
Thank you. Is that better? We would plan to request this garage with or without the ADU because we need additional space to house our kayaks, paddle boards, Christmas decorations, and lake stuff. I'd like to note that our plan does meet all of the 20-foot setbacks as required by the town. We do have plans to add on to the existing camp that's on the property, but we are trying to keep with the original look of the camp. So we will only have a one-car garage and a small crawl space, so not a lot of storage. Unfortunately, we cannot connect this ADU to our existing camp because there's a road that bisects the property. It's kind of like a bow tie shape, and right in the middle is Highland Avenue. And then we haven't done the septic design yet. We were kind of waiting to see if it was approved before we spent the money to do the septic design. But we have contracted Promised Land. We have an agreement, if it's approved, that they will design the septic. And we will also work with them or someone that they recommend. The owner is a civil engineer on drainage and things like that. I know a couple of the neighbors have expressed concern over drainage, and I've already talked with our designer architect about kind of gravel driveway options, things like that, to help ease some of the drainage concerns. I don't know if you want me to go one by one on the denials or what.
Madam Chair, alternate.
Oh, there's 5 of us, so I'm not seating an alternate, but were you saying you'd like to speak?
No, you just need to state that I am non-voting alternate.
Thank you.
You usually do.
Thank you. My mistake here, we have a 5-member board, and all 5 members are here tonight. So we do have one alternate who's in attendance. It's Kevin, and he is here, able to speak, able to ask questions, but he is a non-voting member, for the record. Okay, does anybody have any questions? Do you want her to go through all 5 criteria?
Yeah.
Please go through all the 5 criteria.
Do you mean the denials or the?
The variance request support?
Okay. So like the granting the variance,
Correct.
those questions? Okay.
Please, thank you.
Sure. So on question 1, the question is granting the variance would not be contrary to public interest use because And the reasoning I had is that it's not contrary because the ADU living space would be above a three-car garage, which we would be requesting with or without the approved ADU on the second floor. The ADU will be occupied by immediate family members, my daughter, so it would keep the property private. A connection between the structures is not feasible because of the road, as I mentioned, that bisects the property. And then again, we have contracted Promised Land, a survey company, to design the septic in accordance with RSA 485A 38, but we just need to give them the go-ahead, to do the test pits and the subsequent work. Question 2, if the variance were granted, the spirit of the ordinance would be observed because, I'm assuming that the spirit is presumably to prevent two houses being built on a single lot. And to kind of note against that, the garage we're proposing would be built whether or not we have an approved ADU. It will be designed as a garage with an ADU on the second story, therefore it will not look like two houses on a single lot. It will be across the street from the existing home, which will also make it not look like two houses on a single lot. Question 3, granting the variance would do substantial justice because there's no other location for us to build a garage that would house our family's cars due to the shoreline protection regulations. And we would like to have, a larger garage to store our cars, kayaks, and other boats during the winter. And again, as I noted, we are planning to keep the main house as one level with no basement, just a crawl space, so we need the additional storage space for our summer and winter gear. Question 4, if the variance is granted, the values of the surrounding properties will not be diminished because, and my reasoning is the addition of more living space on our property will increase our property value, which will increase their surrounding property values. The ADU garage will be designed by the same designer and architect that is renovating the main house using the same building materials and siding, cedar siding, which will improve the look of the property. The garage will house our cars also, which will improve the look of the property from the lake. Question 5, unnecessary hardship. And it reads, owing to the special conditions of the property that distinguish it from other properties in the area, denial of the variance would result in unnecessary hardship because no fair and, wait, I'm sorry. And I guess there's two parts, and then no fair and substantial relationship exists between the general public purposes of the ordinance provision and the specific application. And my reasoning is the zoning ordinance setback requirements do not have a fair and substantial relationship to this property because the unusual shape of the lot makes it impossible to build a three-car garage and ADU while adhering to the setback rules without creating an unnecessary hardship. And the proposed use is the reasonable one because ADUs are allowed in Nottingham, and the fact that the ADU will not be connected to the main house does not detract from the favorable benefits that the ADU will provide to our house and neighborhood. Also, I believe that the state of New Hampshire now has taken away the connected ADU requirement, and so I'm not sure how that weighs in the in the eyes, but. And then the final one is explain how, if the criteria in subparagraph A are not established, an unnecessary hardship will be deemed to exist, and only if, owing to special conditions of that property that distinguish it from other properties in the area, the property cannot be reasonably used in strict conformance with the ordinance, and a variance is therefore necessary to enable a reasonable use of it. I determined that the size of the storage space that we would need is laid out according to the plans in fitting within the 20-foot setbacks that are required. Again, it should provide a cleaner look with no garage, cars in the driveway. Lawn equipment will be stored away, all those good things. And that was my reasoning.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Do we have any questions?
Go
Go ahead.
Just to let you know, I did your, for the Hamiltons, I did that Leachfield design
Oh,
that you
okay.
have now.
Oh.
But
sorry, I
Well, I'm
recognized
fairly
your name from
familiar- I'm fairly
something.
familiar
Yeah,
with your lot.
yep,
So you're gonna build back there, I see a well, I assume that's your neighbor's well on
it
your
is,
plans.
yep.
So that's like right near your, that would be right near your septic.
Yeah, so I believe it's, is it a 40 or
where-
50-foot setback that the septic?
It's usually 75 feet. But where are you gonna put a, where's your well on that one? Are you gonna, you're not coming from your existing well?
We're not coming from the existing
You
well.
gotta drill another well there
Yeah,
someplace.
yeah.
Because you don't have a lot of room, I mean,
Yeah, I would have to presume.
because they don't show any kind of well location on your plan. They show.
No, you know what, I noticed that this morning,
Yeah.
so, we did stop the work on the septic just because we wanted to make sure it was approved before I spent
Oh,
kind
no, I
of
don't blame you. They-
more money on the design, and that was actually the recommendation of,
It's 20 feet,
the permit.
Okay.
20 feet
For the what? The-
setbacks.
No, I'm talking about the well. The well setback.
I
It's
think-
usually like 75 feet from,
Okay,
right, your lines are 20 foot. And so then you want to put, so you want like a 1,200 square foot ADU, which
we would like that, yes, please.
because I mean, it's like auxiliary dwelling unit. This is like another whole dwelling unit. This is bigger than your house, than your cabin, right?
It won't be, we plan to add on,
Right,
the
but I
main-
mean, it's
the existing, yes.
pretty good size, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
It's, I mean, our requirements are 750 square feet,
yeah.
and this is 1,200. I mean, we've given detached before, but I mean, these have been for like 70 acres, 14 acres, I mean,
There was
This is
one
a
that was
pretty s-
approved, I think, last year for 30 by 50.
right, but that was on a separate, I think it originally started out with a separate lot
Yeah,
that he bought, which he could have put something on, but he
Yeah.
combined them, and
Okay.
then, but he already had his septic in, I think, for this one. So I think, and then he didn't get it, and he didn't go 1,200 square feet either, I think he, because we did not give a variance for, additional variance for, size, so he must have only went 750 feet up above for the
Well,
ADU.
let me remind everybody too that we do not set precedents. Each case is decided upon by its own merits.
okay,
So it does not matter what we've done in the past.
okay.
And can I interject one thing?
What was that?
Terry, I think the law is pretty clear on the fact that an ADU, it doesn't really matter how big the lot is. I mean, I know we.
Oh, no, I think it says standard size lot, and I'm sure this is standard size lot. But, I mean, this is, did you drive down there?
No. unless-
It's tight. I mean, this is really congested and really tight.
And where's the well that you're seeing?
There's a well right,
On this lot?
yeah, there's a well right on the existing lot, that, the neighbor's lot, there's a
Bonnie,
well.
Bonnie, right here.
Oh, okay, in the middle there. On the Morse lot?
What's that?
On the lot owned by the Morse?
Yes, yep.
The Morse family.
That's their well there, that's right on the line.
Do you have anything else you wanted to say, Terry?
No, no, not at this moment.
Does anybody else on the board have a question?
Does Highland Avenue stop right here?
No, it continues on,
It goes through your lot?
yes.
Well, on paper, I think, but,
Okay, so it's not traveled.
No, I believe it. I mean, there's a house right next,
But are people driving through your lot on Highland Avenue? Or what they think is Highland Avenue?
I see people nodding out there.
yeah, I mean, yes, it's like the road, do you mean like the road continues up?
It does?
Yeah,
I'm
yes.
just making sure.
Yeah,
Okay.
It doesn't go through, it's not Highland Avenue.
it's not much of a road. It's more like a driveway.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a right of way, yeah.
So you can't build in the right of way either? You can't build anything on a right of way,
Right.
whether it's a road or a right of way. Doesn't really matter.
Because I don't believe that section was approved as a town road, was it?
Oh,
No. It's just a private road.
I'm not sure. I mean, that, you're probably right. It sounds like everybody collectively, except for me, agree. It reads Highland Ave on here, so I figured.
All right, anybody else have a question? Seeing none, I shall open up the public comment section, so if you'll have a seat.
Oh, perfect.
It's 7:15, and I'm opening up the public comment period. For anyone who is in favor of the application, can come forward. Anyone who wishes to speak against the application may come forward. And need to come forward and state your name and your question. And address your questions to the board. And then I will give the applicant an opportunity to speak if she needs to. Your
Okay.
question, okay?
So a lot of the things that I'm saying don't have any reflection on this, probably per se, this particular variance, but people along Highland
You-
Ave.
Sorry, did you state your name?
Ronnie Morse, Veronica Morse. And we are the people that have the well on our property.
Your address, please.
Oh, sorry, 50 Highland Avenue.
Thank you. I'm sorry to have interrupted you, but I
No,
need
that's
time to
okay.
do that. Go ahead.
So we have been to a couple of these because, as everybody knows, water goes downhill. And we are at the bottom of the hill by the lake. And there's a lot of, all the people along Highland, or what used to be Highland, now Woodland, or Highland Avenue still, gets the brunt of the water coming down. We have had drainage problems for forever. You know, there has just never been a time, I think, when there were no drainage problems. And when homes have gone in the past, and this is something I don't think, obviously, the new people that are building have no idea what the drainage is like on the lake. And they have people that come in the past, I'm not talking about this one, in the past, they have done all the things they're supposed to do. They have had the proper people come in and test the land for water and do everything correctly. And still, you know, we say, well, there's always been a problem. I mean, if you go down the lake to people who are not abutters, I mean, they've had their driveways when new property was put in washed out 2 and 3 times. The water just keeps coming and coming and coming. And so after everyone has done all of their had all their approvals done according to code, and I think the last time we asked, well, what happens if there are still drainage problems? They say there won't be any drainage problems, but just what if there are drainage problems? What will happen after the fact? And they say, well, nothing can be done after the fact, you know? And so every time a home goes in, we deal with the same things. The people down at the lake, we have put in so many infiltration trenches and ditches and holding tanks, and every person down at the lake has to do this, and they have to do it again and again when more homes are being put in, because people just don't understand the water table. Also, someone had said that somewhere on this property, there's an underground spring. Well, I don't know where the spring is or anything, but, you know, is that going to impact it? I can't tell on the building plans what kind of foundation it's going to have. I'm assuming it's a slab. But anytime you cover any ground, or anytime you go deeper to make any kind of a foundation, you are displacing an area that water used to go to. And I just am concerned that the people doing this don't understand this. When the house behind was put in, they did the water testing on the property, which some of the neighbors had noted was really a place for frogs, and there was always water standing there. but yet the test came back that it was not wetlands, that it could be built on. And again, the water just, poured out because they displaced this place that used to be a place where water could drain in. And I just want to be sure that the people doing this are the correct people, because in the past it hasn't been. And there's no recourse after, after everything is passed, after the variance is passed. And, we don't want to stop this. We just want to make sure that things are done correctly. And I had talked to someone in the city who's probably, I can't even remember who it was probably not here anymore. But the person that you need to test for the way water moves is an engineer called a hydrology engineer. And that's the only way, I think, if you had someone like that, to determine it, because there's so many different moving parts in the water by the lake that unless you have someone that could really determine what impact it's going to have, we don't know what impact it's going to have. And from what I understand from before, you can't say, well, can you sign some documents that say that if there is a diversion of water, if there is a problem, that you will fix it afterwards, and you can't attach that to a variance or anything, from what I understand. So again, it's just the other homeowners are just at the mercy of the water when it comes down. So that is actually the main concern.
Okay. May I let you know that I hear what you're saying, and I don't live in that area, so I can't say I get it, but I empathize with you. But ma'am, I need to remind everybody that we are not here to discuss the actual construction of the garage. If she meets the setbacks, that's not an issue we can deal with. That is something that will go before our building inspector, who will give her the permit. She is only here with us to talk about the fact that she wants to have, or she and her husband are looking to build an ADU, or to have an accessory dwelling unit as part of the garage on top. So the 3-car garage is nothing we are going to be discussing here. It's whether or not we're going to approve the fact that there will be a accessory dwelling unit on top of that exceeds our, the square footage of our zoning ordinance, and the fact that it does not meet the attached to the house or accessed by a door. And what was the other one on there?
Dimensional requirements of a single-family.
Yeah, and the single-family unit. So none of that is going to, what you've been talking about is anything this board has
Okay.
jurisdiction or authority over.
All right, so, so that's to come. I just have one other comment. I think I spoke with you on the phone about that, and you had brought up this, well, actually, there's two things now that,
You didn't speak with me.
on the phone.
Maybe Alana?
Oh, I thought you said you were Alana.
No, I'm Teresa.
Okay, sorry.
That's okay.
I need my glasses
That's
on.
okay.
Okay, so I spoke with Alana, but you had brought this about what is Highland Avenue. So that is our property, that it says that it is Highland Avenue. And so I just wanted to show you, if I may, this is the plot plan from Nottingham. And I don't know if you have that, it wasn't in the packet or anything. Okay. So our property is 23, 24 is Colleen's that goes into the back. And Highland Avenue ends where the shaded area is, the whole darker shaded area, and that is the boundary of our property. And what goes forward, which on this plan here says it's Highland Avenue, that is our driveway. And there is a right-of-way over the driveway, but it is not Highland Avenue. And actually, it kind of worries me that a lot of public documents say it's Highland Avenue, because if people think it's a road, then anybody can drive on it all the way through to where, I guess, I don't know, to the end of our property, or to keep going. People could park on it, they could do whatever they want, and it actually is a private driveway unless, and we bought that property, it goes right through our property unless somehow if it's Highland Avenue, we need to have some adjustments made, because as far as we know, that is our driveway on our property. So just to clarify that from my point of
That's a
view.
Board of Selectmen issue?
Yeah. With regards to that information, you need to talk with the BOS, because they're the roads people, so.
They're the what, I'm sorry?
The Board of Selectmen.
Yes, but they're the what?
They deal with the roads essentially.
Oh, okay.
So that would be a Board of Selectmen issue. And you can call the office tomorrow and ask to go on their next agenda to talk about that.
Okay.
You would file a request for abandonment,
A
town
request
would-
for abandonment?
well, abandonment of the road.
Oh,
And if they abandon it,
Then it could
then
become a driveway.
then nobody can drive on it, and it won't be Highland Avenue anymore, it'll just be your driveway.
right. Well, I thought that's what it was.
Like I said, that's a discussion for them.
I know, I know. I
That
absolutely knew
definitely
that wasn't
can't
for
help you
tonight.
with.
So all the pervious versus impervious and all those other things, that is to be determined later.
Well, that's all the building inspector.
Okay.
That's not this board.
So I have one question for you, Terry, because that is our well that is right there.
yeah.
Is that seems close to a septic? I don't know if that is that something later that they will determine also?
I guess if they went for a design at the state would probably determine it. It's 75 feet.
They know they're supposed to be-
Did you drill that well?
Yes.
So you drilled it recently?
Well, we didn't drill it. It was, we bought the house was a new house, and they had already drilled the well there. So we bought it. It was already there when we bought the house.
Okay, so, because if it went like back before 1989, you would have a lot more. Right, so where it is, you probably had to sign a waiver, or the other person signed a waiver that it was too close to the lot line, so they probably don't have, unfortunately.
I don't know.
You probably wouldn't have a lot of protection. They probably could get a septic system in there even with your well there. Because you signed a waiver that said, we know our thing is too close to the line, and, if it gets polluted, we understand. That's what the state usually makes you do, so.
Okay, I have no idea about that.
When you bought the property, did you ask for what's known as an ALTA survey?
We had a site plan, but no, I didn't know anything about an ALTA survey.
Okay, because with that, you would have, in essence, been given a map, kind of like this, but of your property, showing where the well is, but there would also been something that says it's built, the well is drilled very close to the property line, and you would be made aware of that. It should be in your title policy, and you should look at that. The bank, did you get financing when you bought the property?
We did.
You did? The bank has a policy, the title policy also, so you could ask them for a copy of it if you don't have one yourself, although you should have. And those identify things about the lot that you should be aware of, and you've signed off on them. Said, okay, fine, we'll buy it anyway, whatever the case is, but, so, that's something you can look into.
Okay. Thank
Okay,
you.
Thank you. And I do want to remind the board that we need to keep all of the discussions related to this, to the variance moving forward, okay? Does anybody else like to speak? I figured you were coming out.
Don't you have a home?
Yeah, it's right
Here.
here. Come on now. John Moore,
And your address.
Whites Grove.
Thank you.
My question was on the hardship. I don't know how a 25 by 48 auxiliary dwelling unit, which is basically a house with a 3-stall underneath, it's no different than building your colonial with a 2-stall underneath. It's a house. Putting in a septic, putting in a well, when you have a property right there that already has a house, a well, and a septic, you could tear down that existing property on the lake and build a 2,400 square foot house on it, and then put your 3-stall out back. So my question is more towards, what is the hardship that you need such a gigantic ADU on a lot that's not even an acre of land on the tight, with all the other residents that are right on top of you and around in such a small property, where is the hardship? This is more of a want and not a need. So that's my question. A better explanation for the hardship would be something more. And to your thing on the well, just to quickly go on there for 1 second, did you address that? When they bought the house, that well radius, when it's put in design, because the lot over here and the well and the septic was already designed over on this property here, they probably didn't have to get that waiver because the fact that during our zoning ordinances, there was nothing going to be allowed to build on that second property where the well and that radius was. But that might be something you want to look into.
Thank you, Mr. Warren. Would anybody else like to speak for or against? If you want to come up?
I'm not opposed to the three-stall garage, I think it's great. Or four.
Please state your name and your address.
Amanda DeRoche, and it's 45 Highland Ave.
And may I remind everybody who is here this evening, please make sure you have signed the sign-in sheet, please, at the door. These meetings are recorded and minutes are taken, and oftentimes because of the recordings, we need to have your name on the sheet that's legible so we can accurately document.
Okay.
Go ahead, Amanda Rush.
DeRoche, DeSroches.
Okay, Rush.
So we had a similar situation happen in
Address?
45 Highland Avenue.
Thank you, go ahead.
Similar situation happened in 2022. There was a building put in, or was going to be built behind us, and the whole problem was that it was like close to everybody's home, and there was drainage worries. I know we've already been through that. That's not this problem, but it really is this problem. But I just want to say that when we were told that the planning board couldn't do anything about it, I sent an email to the building inspector and explained, it's time to do the building inspections, and we're worried about the drainage. And he said, I'll do some research and follow up with you. And then I never heard back from him, ever, and reminded him in June that I didn't hear anything back, and he still didn't respond. So I don't know how to move forward when you say you can't do anything and they don't respond.
Well, we're the zoning board, totally different from the planning
Well,
board.
I understand that, but it's all the town, so.
Well, it is the town, but a zoning board is here for people who want to do something with their land, but it does not meet the zoning ordinance that the town has.
I understand that, but I'm asking you, how do I move forward when you're saying it depends on the building permit for the drainage people, but then when I ask about the drainage people to the building inspector, there's no response.
Well, if you're having an issue with the building inspector, that's something you need to take up with the
Building
our
inspector?
town administrator, or the BOS. It's not for us to do anything on that.
You don't have any connections with, you don't know who it is?
I do know who the building
Yeah.
inspector is. I mean, his name is posted all over the.
Well, I know who he is too, but I need help. yeah.
I would suggest you talk to the town administrator and/or maybe the BOS, but we can't do anything with your, I'm
Well, that's
sorry.
not helpful, but also, the other thing I'm worried about is the trees that are coming down. Is that anything you guys would talk about?
Because the proposed garage meets the setbacks, then the only thing before us.
Does it though? Because it's like huge, and the setback is for a 750, right?
All I can tell you is the application set before us is strictly related to.
Do you
an
see where I'm
ACD.
coming from, though?
I do, and it can be very, very frustrating. But by law, and we are held by laws, this whole book is all
Yeah.
laws that we have to follow. And the application before us is for the ADU above the garage. We can't talk about her garage, the land coming, trees coming down, the drainage, or any of that. That's not what the application before us is.
So how do is there another meeting about all those other things that we're worried about?
As far as drainages and stuff like that?
Well,
with
like,
the-
we've had 2 trees come down on our cars in our house from their property because no one was maintaining it. And now there's gonna be more drainage going into weird places and more trees coming down. So
as far as land maintenance goes, I mean, I don't know what to tell you on that. It's the onus of the,
Thanks,
I'm sorry.
appreciate it.
Yeah, I know.
Maybe WMER needs a call.
I beg your pardon?
Maybe we should call WMER, maybe they'll do something with it.
Go for it. I don't know what you want me to do that's not
I
our,
just need help instead of telling you that you can't do anything.
I'm sorry that we are not able to help you, but this really is not our purview.
This is the second instance of something happening.
But it is still not our purview. And if you'd like, if you feel there's something you can do, you're welcome to get involved in town governance and work your magic that way.
How that should
The
work.
town administrator is your first contact, would be my suggestion.
And I told her that. Need to talk to her.
You did,
So-
but just to,
You told her everything.
All right, I'm going to continue the meeting because I can't do anything. I'm sorry. Is there anyone else who would like to speak for or against this application? Okay. Please state your name and your address.
I understand. I've watched everybody else.
Thank you.
Gary Potvin. It's 13 Martha's Way now, Nottingham. And I just wanted to address Mr. Moran's comments, and there are hardship situations that sometimes exist that people are unaware of, and there's good reasons for those things. And as a friend and a colleague, I know what those things are. So there's definite hardship created to not have her family here, that they're moving from Alabama to be here with their granddaughter, who's newly born. And the size, I mean, it's not enormous or gigantic or whatever Mr. Moran said. I venture a guess his house is larger, as most are on the lake. As for drainage issues, you know, I own 2 houses on the lake and 3 lots with water access. We all have those problems. It's a choice we made when we bought on the lake. I've dealt with the issues. They're frustrating, as you said, but they shouldn't really factor in here into a decision about whether the zoning fits or doesn't fit. So I appreciate your time.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to speak? Seeing none, I'm going to close the public hearing. It is now 7:37. And ask the applicant to come back to the table and bring the case back to the board. Does anybody have any questions?
I have a slight question. I think I know the answer to it. Is this 1 lot or 2 lots?
It's 1 lot.
So I think what Mr. Moran was objecting to was it looks like you're building a whole house, a second house on the same lot. I think it's different than this gentleman's circumstance. I think they're separate lots. So I guess probably that's the reason for allowing a smaller ADU. Even though you might need the space for your daughter and her family, you might be required to buy another lot to put an actual house on.
Anybody else?
We're just here to approve an ADU, not the garage.
Correct. The
Okay.
only, remember, it's whatever the application is based, and the application is based strictly on the ADU. The size, it's related to the size of the ADU, the fact that it's detached, which our ordinance doesn't support. Yes, the state law does. You are correct that it does. And I have argued that it should be allowed, but I got overruled at the planning board, which that's what the planning board is for discussing rules with, related to this kind of thing. But that would be a warrant article, and we don't have time to do that. Anyway, so there's that, and, excuse me, the door. Because our ordinance states that a ADU is supposed to be attached to a primary residence and have a door access between them. I think the bigger kicker is the size of it, though, at this point.
any other questions?
Yeah, go ahead.
No, any other questions?
No? Anybody else?
I have a comment.
Okay.
I guess my thing would be the garage has been approved to be built.
I
Or,
don't,
or I'm sorry, it meets the requirements
she
in
states,
order to be
she states
built.
that it does.
Right.
I don't,
And
she
if-
doesn't have an approved
Right,
application, so we don't have a,
right. So, putting a second story on something that would be approved, and it could be just one big ginormous room, an empty room, what would be the difference in doing that, or in labeling it an ADU?
because an ADU, it also is set up with septic, and,
Yeah, is this a question for the,
no, she's asking what the difference would be.
okay,
Well,
If you,
if it's just a garage, it will need a septic or a well.
correct.
And,
this is,
and you're right, they could build a very large room above the garage and store stuff. It becomes an ADU when you have septic and well.
So, Terry, I know you sometimes work on septic systems,
Yeah.
yes? So what would the difference in size be for an ADU that met the ordinance? 750 or 20 feet?
750.
whatever we allow, and one that's 500 feet or so
No,
large?
this is gonna be 1,000.
Oh,
This is 1,000.
This is 1,210. I think this is like,
500 feet.
when I did the math, was like 61% bigger than what we allow. So it's pretty good size. It's over 50% bigger than what we allow.
So but the septic design would be contingent on the number of.
The septic, it looked like, the plan was kind of hard to read. It was kind of faint, but it looks like two-bedroom, right?
It is, that's
Yeah.
correct, yep.
Which most ADUs are.
Two
It's like a one-bedroom ADU. It's just like, it's not like that big.
these incidental discussions are after questions.
I'm sorry, what?
These are board questions, not questions for
Well,
the,
we're discussing the application.
okay?
Yeah.
Because I'm waiting for the, after the,
Okay. Anybody have anything else?
Where is she gonna put a septic and leach field?
They showed it right there.
But that's within 75 feet of an existing well.
It's up to the state. It's up to the state to approve that, so.
I think they just put something there for a placeholder, so once, if, I didn't want to spend any more money on where is it going to be, and so we would certainly make sure that there would be no conflict with, and there's enough room to put it somewhere else on the property. We wouldn't want somebody's well to become impacted. I mean, we're not trying to be bad neighbors here.
Anybody else?
Nope.
Anybody else? If no one has any further discussions, we need to make a decision.
I have no questions for the,
Yeah, go ahead.
no, I have no questions for,
You have no questions, then if there's no questions, I need to know what the favor of the board is here. What do you want for a decision? We can't leave everybody hanging here.
don't we have a don't we have a conversation?
We have been.
After questions?
That's what we've been doing.
Oh, I didn't know that, okay.
Yeah. Do you have anything you want to add?
I have an issue with accepting this with C7B10, excuse me, C7B7, where it says that it shall be, the septic shall be designed and certified. And it obviously is not. So if it was, that wouldn't be an issue.
Right. She sought not to seek septic design unless it was approved. Right? You're saying you have an issue that she doesn't have an approved septic. And what I'm saying is she sought not to seek
True, but
approval
but
because
we can't agree to this until there is an approved septic.
Well, isn't that the
Relative
permitting,
to-
isn't that the permitting office that does that? I was advised by, maybe it was, but that
can
it was
be
fine to hold
conditional.
off on that.
Or what have you, but
Mr. Moran, did you have something you wanted to say?
Under all the sections that the applicant was looking for, there was one section on there, if it was C7B number 10, I think, or doesn't it mention in there about being, if you're gonna put an ADU on your property, that you have to be a resident full-time in Nottingham? I was just curious if the applicant was.
In the statute, you mean, or the ordinance?
Read the training zoning ordinance, it's right there.
my,
I can answer the question. You just want to know if I live in Nottingham?
Well, I mean,
Yeah, no, that's,
I'm surprised nobody on my board, this board asked that question of you.
No, we,
That's why I was asking, because
we
the
have-
next part says it says it's Bedford, New Hampshire, so I didn't know if that this process changed, and I figured somebody on the board might notice that, and ask that question. So I'm asking for that.
I thought of that question when I saw her address, but then she stated her residence as Highland Avenue. And it does say an ADU shall be a secondary and accessory to a principal family dwelling unit. So should be your principal home.
at 992 square feet, it is currently not our primary home.
my last comment is what you would be an exception to is C7C, dimensional requirements of a single-family home. And obviously, this is on a 1 acre lot, which
I
is
can't hear what you're saying. Which one? C
C7C.
7,
It needs to meet the requirements of a single-family home. And obviously, the lot is not a 2 acre lot and et cetera. So that's what you would be given, variance to.
did you say C1 or 3?
C7C, 1.
So that one's kind of a gray area, right? Because that's for a new family. So when we kind of when I discussed it with Dale, the discussion was it's kind of a gray area because this is an existing family home.
It says the property and proposed use of a
So
ADU
it's grandfathered against the 2 acre.
must conform to the dimensional requirements of single-family residential lot. So ideally, you're starting with a lot that's conformal. That's how I,
And hers is not.
so
the other part
I'm just
is-
stating that that's what the board would be
Yeah.
giving relief on, right? And then to Terry's point, 750 to 1210 is a 100 and some odd, 170% increase.
There's actually, if you look at the standards for review in C, most of them are not met with this because it's a separate, it's a detached ADU. So as far as,
Every case is taken on its own
It's-
individual
it says
merits.
allow for reincorporation into the principal dwelling unit, which this wouldn't be because it's a separate one. Entrance is located to the side or the rear of the building, which is going to be totally different than that. Egress, ingress, parking, does not alter the character or appearance of the principal dwelling, which, it's totally separate from it. So none of the standards of review for an ADU are met with this particular structure and the fact that it's well over the 750. And that's what we need to consider tonight. Do we feel there's enough of a hardship to approve? Because that's really the primary kicker with our variances, is does the fact that the lot size, the lot shape, does that meet for a hardship on this, to allow for this?
I see the law.
The state law? Sure. I highlighted it off.
Starts with B right here.
Well, I just
Yeah, okay, got it.
read through and highlighted.
Okay, keep all the way to here.
Sorry about the voice. Every winter, I get a dry cough that causes me to lose my voice.
Is it possible for me to respond to some of the neighbors' issues and
Yes, you
questions? Okay.
As long as it's related to the ADU and not the drainage.
Oh, well, those were the questions. Okay.
No.
I
Because
would
that-
like to say that we have tried to maintain, I didn't realize, so we did hire somebody to take the trees down. They haven't been able to take those trees down. I didn't know that the tree fell. So I apologize. I would have done it in person, but
There's a weird law about trees, though, the law of trees. You're not responsible if your tree smashes.
But we have maintained like, as far as like mowing the lawn, we have a lawn,
I think it's a
plowing,
relevant point.
yeah. So we're not irresponsible neighbors, as a matter of fact, we're trying to not be that way, but anyway.
The tree was marked, though, as it was diseased.
I have a friend who
Yeah.
lost a big branch of her neighbor's tree on her driveway. It hit one of her tenants and broke her neck. She's a quadriplegic. She was sued. That's the only reason I know about the law of trees. It amazed her that she wasn't really liable for it.
I
But
thought if the tree was noted, like, it is diseased, and it was.
I don't think that, these trees are old.
Yes, yeah.
I'm talking about the trees next to my friend's property in Concord. And they're maintained every year. So there are things they do to them that they don't do every year, but they come back every year. They're giant old examples of their species. Anyway, it's a separate issue, but the law of trees is pretty, I found it strange that you really weren't responsible for trees that, on your property that fell on your neighbors.
That's how we do it my neighbor's a lawyer, and if the tree falls on our yard, it's our responsibility, even if the stump is on it. But we have hired a tree service, and I did not know until this Saturday that had happened.
All right,
I
is
can
there
give you my information.
anything else? I need the direction of a,
Well, I'm looking in here, and it does say, an application for approval for a sewage disposal system shall be submitted in accordance with RSA 485A as applicable. I mean, that's before they get permitted, before they come before us necessarily, but
all right, so what are we going to do?
in order to get if we were to approve it, in order to get a building permit, she would need to do, well, that goes without saying, doesn't it?
It just was, yeah.
You could issue the variance contingent upon getting the septic plan too.
Well, he won't issue the permit unless there's an approved septic plan too, yeah.
Is septic your only?
Yeah, the fact that it's stated in the application means we have to address it.
I think the things that really hold me up, I don't really mind that it's detached. I mean, I know the state allows it in this case where they're across the driveway, road, whatever you want to call it, from the two parts of their lot. It's not a big deal, but what is a big deal to me is the servicing of the building by septic and well. Can they fit? And I'm not sure. I wish Terry would speak about it because he knows more about it than most of us.
Well, I
And do you
mean,
think she can fit a septic and a well on that lot along with what's already there and the?
Like I can tell you, Bonnie, that for the number of years we've been on this board, almost all of the cases that come from lake area or non-conforming lots have difficulty fitting well and septic on their own lots. Most of the time when they're looking to build
She's
and
looking to do
expand.
two of them on a tiny lot. And how big is your lot? Mary?
It's .85.
It's point.
.787.
The official survey said
Right.
.85, yeah.
Yeah, the official was,
Yeah.
yeah,
It's just
75.
0.85, yeah.
Almost an acre.
8.5.
It is, yes.
Bigger than most of the lots.
But with two
Maybe you and
places, Bonnie, that would be 2 septics, 2 wells, 2 homes.
That's on 2 acres. I'd say it depends on the soil. Which you probably haven't test pitted it or done anything.
I would need a motion from the board, please.
Well, you have to have a motion to approve, I suppose.
Oh, approve or deny, yes.
Oh, okay.
That's what we're here for.
Motion's made in case 25-001, VA Edwards, for approval.
Is there a second? There is no second, so that motion is denied. Quickly. So would somebody like to give me a motion for denial? She can come before us again another, if she gets the other parts of it. I mean,
Can she come before the board again?
with a change, if we deny it because of certain things.
Lack of information.
Is the lack of information around the septic, just out of curiosity? Or,
Primarily, and that the well can also be fit in there between the lake, the septic, the neighbors, and your existing well and septic.
yeah.
That's really,
The other thing you can do is withdraw your case,
If they signed it.
get the information we're looking for, and come back.
Well, that's what I'm wondering is it just the septic? Because I was advised to not do that, to just hold on the septic, and then the building permit would then be held up for the septic if there wasn't a viable plan. And it has to go to the shoreline protection, all that kind of, the state, so, you know, kind of when I submitted the application, I was told, I asked whether I should wait on the septic, and I was told, yes, I would. Which made sense to me, right? Why would you spend the,
right, but did they know you were asking for other things as well?
It-
Larger than allowed?
he wrote the denial, so yes, yeah.
Oh, so he's the one who advised you?
Yeah,
He doesn't always see eye to eye with us. Most of the time he does, but not always.
not to throw, but that was the discussion, and
Alright.
it didn't seem like it was an issue because it's not gonna, the permit wouldn't be issued if we didn't have the appropriate septic, layout. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. And I'm not gonna destroy somebody else's well in
Right,
the
but-
pursuit of this activity.
Once we grant a variance, maybe you could sell the property and somebody else could run with it. There's,
But they couldn't get a permit from the town, right?
maybe
Because,
there's a new building inspector. I mean, I'm just
oh,
being silly. But
okay.
anything can happen with property. And time is always a factor.
Works, because you did it for me. The board did. So I know that you can do a variance with a contingency that says your application is approved contingent upon you doing these things. In my case, it was also septic. And if I didn't do the septic, then the whole variance was gone, let alone building inspector. So I do know there's options.
I think it was more the issue of the locations and not just the fact that it's one that is approved. So they want to know where is it going? I mean, like I said, the lots are small, and we've seen over and over again requests, and they end up on the neighbors' lot lines and next to their neighbors' wells. All right, you guys, let's kick this, please.
So do you need a motion now to
I
deny?
can't do anything.
What would you like to do? Give me some
I know you
advice.
can't because you're not voting tonight, but it's like, I need a motion. We've already gone against approval unless you want to do approval with conditions, or if you want to, do you want to withdraw? It's 8 o'clock. Let's go. If you have no more questions, that means your mind is made up. What are you thinking?
You want to know what we're thinking?
Yes.
Yes, she does.
I'll make a
Madam Chair,
motion.
can I address the applicant? It's somewhat obvious that the board is not in favor, at least at this time. You have a choice to withdraw and reconsider and reapplication. There are 4 things that are on this that the board has to address. 7B, 5, 7, 10, and C1. They are, in my mind, the square foot area is what we have to address. The septic that needs to be addressed because it's here. If it wasn't here, then the planning board would know that, building inspector would do all that. Interior door, we need to address it, although it's minor. And then dimensional requirements of single family. So your considerations is this the right path going forward? Like you said, you stated in your 5 criteria, is that if we didn't pass, you'd do a garage anyways. That's an option that you stated and is ahead of you.
Yeah.
You may then reconsider putting the ADU in the existing home. It might be smaller, it might even meet.
We were
the
trying to
seven-
keep the spirit of like a one-floor
it's-
ranch, maybe that.
Let me have
yeah.
the floor.
Yeah,
So
okay.
That's a consideration, then you
Yeah.
might be closer to the 750.
Yeah,
The board might be more favorable in that.
okay.
The septic, then the septic would then be either changed, modified, or be okay as is. Then the board might be more accepted to that. So those are decisions that you need to make, and I need to,
There's-
and that's just,
The other part
Now,
to
I think
this,
there's one other
I'll
one.
give it, I will release the floor back to the,
the other part to this that I see as an issue is that, and you said it, that you wanted to keep it like a ranch. So you're technically putting 2 homes on a single lot that is not even a standard lot size for the town. So you're technically doing 2 homes. It's not an accessory dwelling unit, it's a home. It does not meet any of the criteria for an ADU within our town at all. You're asking for a home with a garage underneath. And that's the one thing that I do have.
Right, and, I mean, the other one is, the one John brought up was, number 4, an ADU permitted on any residential property in which the owner of record of the property personally resides. So they don't live there, so that's the other one, so.
So do you have a motion?
I make you were telling her what she could do, so that's up.
so you could withdraw before we make a vote, and that's your call.
It just doesn't sound like it's gonna get approved either way, so.
It may behoove you to withdraw then.
Why would I,
You could withdraw, I mean, we could continue, but
Or continue. If she declines and then comes back, is there more fees, and does it start
Oh,
all
if
over again? Is
You
there,
withdraw, it starts all over again, right?
it's a financial impact if the board declines.
well, that's what I'm trying to understand is like, if I do get the more, like, I don't wanna put good money on top of bad and do a septic design, and then it's still that you guys have the heartache over the square footage, so I guess that's my question back to you. I don't wanna spend a bunch of money in a fruitless exercise.
So could she make the ADU 750 above the garage, and then that would satisfy
That portion.
that portion of it, which would reduce the size of the septic, which would, right? So that was,
2 bedrooms.
would that be,
Like,
Another
septic goes by square
alternative.
footage.
Septic goes by bedrooms, goes by
Bedrooms.
bedrooms.
So it wouldn't change where the septic
Wouldn't
is.
change the size of the septic.
Right,
Okay.
yeah, the problem, I mean, the problem I have is it's, you know, I did work down there, and, I mean, to get a fire truck in down there for, you know, being a residential, it's very congested. When I would go in there with my dump truck, I'd have a trailer or something, but I'd have to get out of my truck, go knock on people's door to move their cars, because I couldn't even make the corners. It was tight. And I don't know if any of you drove down there today.
Not today.
It's, it's like two snowbanks. You can, you know, you go through it, but it is tight. It is congested. That's a problem I have. I'm not against, you know, property rights and this, that, but it's just so congested.
Okay.
And there is no hardship, I don't think so.
Yeah, Terry, were you gonna make a motion?
Yeah, I make a motion that we deny case 25001 VA Edwards at 52 Highland Ave.
Is there a second?
Second.
Finally, we're doing something. All right, it's been moved and seconded that we deny the application before us. Does anybody have any last minute comments?
Can I ask her a question? Not in the middle of the motion, but would you rather say no, or would you rather ask for a continuance? We could see you next month.
No. I guess my question was if it's going to be denied on the square footage, that I'd rather just know now. And then, I guess if I did decide to do a 750, does this then preclude me from being able to apply for a 750 square foot or no?
A denial on this? No, what we would be denying is what your application is that's before us.
Okay.
If you make changes,
To the application, it would be a new application? Okay, then, yeah, I guess. Thank you.
saying nothing further, we shall proceed to vote. All those in favor of the motion to deny, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, that's 500.
Okay. Thank you for hearing. No, it's,
And the case size greater than 61% of
so if I were to come back with 750 square feet, do I need the septic design before or no? Like, is that a,
You don't need it before, but
it would help?
you need to, I'm looking at this saying, where the septic is located on this plan.
Yeah,
It's too close to that well on the abutting
I
property.
100% agree, and I only noticed that this morning, that they had just thrown it on just to kind of,
The dwelling unit that you propose.
Yeah.
The garage with ADU that you propose
yeah.
is well within the side setbacks. And you might
Yes,
bring it right to the edge of the setbacks and relocate the septic
To the other side,
on the other side of the property
yeah,
so that you're more than 75 feet away from the well.
yeah,
And you might put a well in on your side of the property.
yeah.
That's things that I see.
The other kicker
Thank you.
that has been brought up by a couple of us here is, and I don't know how you're gonna get beyond that until you're living full-time at the other property, is that it's not,
Our plan was to do it both at once and to split our time between our, while my husband's still working, to split our time kind of like 50/50, so. But we're not doing that in the current house because we both can't sleep in a full-size bed. Yeah, it's teeny.
it's an house. You've been talking about the primary residence?
Yeah. It's in our ordinance, but not the law.
4. An ADU is permitted on any residential property, record, property personally resides.
On that land.
Did they put a trailer on
Correct.
a permanent dwelling
Need to live
or a
there.
permanent foundation?
And they don't permanently reside at
Still
that
be
property.
two places on the same lot.
Okay,
Okay,
all right.
thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for hearing.
And I thank you all for coming. that's the conclusion of this case. We have some other business as far as minutes and stuff. You're welcome to stay for that if you'd like.
Let me also tell her, Colleen?
No, that was Amanda.
That's the picture.
Oh, the owner?
Eric,
Go get her if you want.
picture I was referring to.
Oh, yeah, that's the one you're talking about.
Yeah. So that's gotta be
Amanda.
the layout of the
All right,
Colleen.
we have more business to conduct, so if you'd like to talk, please head out the door. I have no problem with you talking out in the hallway, but I do if you're in here. That's okay. I just can't shout about your talking.
You're not gonna be able to talk tomorrow, you know that?
Michael will like that. All right, I will write up our denial and give them to you, okay? So you're in the office tomorrow, right?
I'm making a motion in order to preserve your ability of speaking that we put off any further decision-making until the next meeting. And so approval of minutes and of prior meetings, et cetera, can be done next meeting.
Not even the minutes.
Thank you, but we've only got one set of minutes, right? Any staff updates? Anything?
No, that was good.
Anything? Okay. Minutes, did everybody have a chance to read them? We've had them for a while. Can I have a motion to approve or corrections if there are any?
17.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor of approving the minutes as written, please signify.
Aye.
Romeo,
I don't think I was here.
you're abstaining then?
Excuse me?
Members absent. Okay, you were not here.
Yeah, so I can't,
You
You can
can,
abstain if you
but
want.
would you like,
I abstain.
that would pass as 401.
I'm just gonna be in the hall for 1 second.
One thing I'd like to say before we close our meeting tonight, Alana, do you have anything? Have anything on the tap for next month that you're aware of?
Yes, there are a few.
Oh, okay.
I haven't really gotten a chance to look through them yet or process them, but I know that there'll be at least one.
But our March meeting is where we elect our board and stuff. So you're not packing that meeting, right? Because we usually don't do any business.
I don't have that calendar. It should be on the calendar whether there's business or not.
It doesn't say there isn't for the 18th, but that,
Yeah, so I think we still conduct business.
but what I'm saying is you're not packing that meeting, right? 'Cause- Okay, thank you. Right, so that, looks like we will have some cases for next month. What we will not have is Kathy, because of circumstances going on in her life. She elected to not run for reelection. So I'd like to personally say we have appreciated all of your work and your contribution to this board. And we hope that sometime you choose to come back and join us because you are a true asset to the team, and I thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
The other thing I'd like, Alana, is for, if you would look up the terms for our two alternates and see if either one of them are up for renewal, and maybe shoot me dates, well, and them to let them know.
I think
please.
Kevin is up for it.
I don't know,
I think so.
but if you could check that, I'd appreciate it.
Well,
All right, and that was all we have for business. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn?
Second.
All right, everybody in agreement? 8:14, we're adjourned, and hi, Dad, if you're still watching.